Hi. It's your host, Ben Jaye, back with an exciting new episode of the Creators Lounge podcast. If you listen to music, you will be familiar with platforms such as SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Music, and others in that same vein. But one of the biggest platforms to which we consume music is YouTube. The YouTube music scene is huge, and you can find songs and playlists for just about any mood or moment. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with one of the largest YouTubers in the EDM scene, HyperBoltEDM. HyperBolt, welcome to the show, and please introduce yourself.
Hi, so my name's Alex. I own HyperBoltEDM and Exobolt, which is my YouTube channel and my label, in which I basically upload music from all different kinds of sources that I really enjoy. Yeah, I enjoy it. It's really fun.
That's super cool, man. So you run a YouTube, you also run a SoundCloud, Instagram, etc. How did all of this start?
Yeah, so it was about early 2013. I was on plug.dj. It was like a really old website in which you could listen to music with friends. And Monster Cat had just set up their official room there, and I was like, oh wow, this is like, this is really interesting. So I actually got into like the YouTube side behind music more. One of the guys there, his name was Cody. He basically had started a new network called EDM District, which now has like turned into nothing. But he was like, hey, if you get to 100 subscribers like in your first week or two, then I'll partner you with EDM District, which was like housed under Monster Cat. So from that, I got this sudden urge to be like, yo, like this will be really cool if I could get that brand recognition. This could really start something for me. So I kind of rolled with it, and then 5 years later, I'm still here kind of just working on it because it's a great hobby to have, and the amount of people I've met, the amount of great tunes that I've heard like over the 5 years has really worked out in my favor, to be fair.
Wow, that's super cool, man. So 5 years ago would have been 2013, is that correct?
Yeah, that's true. I think it was June 2013 when I first started the channel.
Gotcha. And if I could ask, like, how old were you at the time?
I would have been 16.
16.
I mean, like I'm almost 21 now, so I was probably about 15 or 16.
Right. So pretty young though, actually. How were you able to balance like doing the channel with school and stuff like that?
So to start with, I didn't take it super seriously. I guess like I just uploaded my friends' tracks. It was one of those things where I very quickly became friends with a couple of bigger channels because there was a Skype group that we had called, it was just called like Underground EDM Promoters or something, but it had like people who are now very large names in the community. So like Proximity, Nick Cooper, Galaxy Music, Xketo, who else? Trap Nation. They were all in this little group, but like back in the day, everyone was like really small. So it was kind of cool because I got to meet all them, and I got to talk about them with music and like learn how to do YouTube properly. So even though I was only like 15, 16 and I was, still in school, I was thinking like, oh, this could become like a really big hobby. And I've got like, the contacts of the slightly bigger channels than me at the time that I can work with, and learn how to, kind of make a career out of this. So it was actually really exciting.
That's super awesome. And those are a lot of heavyweights for the YouTube music scene. Are you still in touch?
Yeah. Somewhat. So I actually ran Galaxy Music's channel for about 2 months, maybe 2 years ago, because he was going on holiday, and for that reason, he he was like, hey, if you want to run my channel while I'm gone, then go for it, because I've known you for like 3 years. And to me, that was crazy, because I was just being handed like this 600k channel for 2 months to just where I was trusted to have like the same quality that he did with his uploads and schedules and stuff. So to me, it felt like a really big deal. And then there was the day that like Xketo, Trap Nation, and Proximity subscribed to me on YouTube just because we were talking to each other in the chat. And I was like these guys are now like multi-million channels or whatever. And it was insane at the time. And thinking back about it, it is pretty insane. Like I actually had, I found an inbox the other day from have you ever heard of Pixel Network?
No, I have not.
Yeah, so he back in let's say 2014, he was actually a smaller channel than me, and he sent me an email through YouTube, like an inbox, and he was like, hey man, if you're interested, we can like box for box and help each other with our channels. And I actually didn't see it till like a week ago, And he's actually got like multi-millions now, so I guess that's my slip up for not like for ignoring that email back in the day. But
Well, the road to success has some successes and failures, I guess.
yeah, I guess so. I guess like, well, I think one of the things is that when it comes to the channels that grew a lot faster than me, they're the channels that seem to ride trends. And I'm not like accusing anyone. Like everyone, I think it's good to ride trends when it's relevant and whatever. So like a lot of channels, like Galaxy's channel, grew a lot because when sort of like once the electro house and like dubstep stuff started fading out as like being popular, he started uploading a lot of future house and future bass, and that kind of rocketed his channel into like another level of popularity. And now he uploads like a bunch of lo-fi and indie stuff, so he's kind of like riding those waves and like doing a good thing. But with my channel, I've always kind of stuck to the same roots as 2013, so it means that I grow slower than the other channels because I'm not drawing in too many subscribers from like riding these trends. But at the same time, I've got like some dedicated subscribers who've been with me for the last 3 or 4 years, who I see like in the comments still like more or less every day saying like, hey, like don't change, because the reason they subscribed 4 years ago is the reason they're still subscribed, because I've kept that same quality and that same style of music for so many years. And I feel like it's going to get to a point where all these channels have like moved on to new stuff, and then my channel will be, you know, like the only one left keeping that 2014 vibe, like that old Monster Cat, like Tristan, Pegboard Nerd stuff. That's always the vibe that I've aimed to go for, and that's gonna solely be a reason why my channel stays alive, I think, because all these other places stopped uploading that kind of music, which means that it's actually quite good that I do it, because it means that a lot of people are attracted to my channel for that reason.
Dude, I 100% agree with that. I mean, granted that it's the internet, so the market is very huge, right? We definitely need people who can do the trends and spotlight the trends. I think it's just as valuable to have channels like yours that, you know, keep to the roots and keep with like something that's kind of timeless in a way, because it becomes nostalgic and yeah, it's still cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Exactly. And you talked a lot about how there was so many people that were supporting you there at the beginning of your channel. I was curious about like the fan reaction at first. What kind of reaction did you have from audiences when you first started doing your channel?
So my channel, to start with, it kind of was like, I was learning a lot. Everything I learned about my channel mainly came from Galaxy Music and what he did. So a lot of the first artists that I started uploading, the ones that I'm actually very good friends with now, people like Rob Gasser, Cynthian, people like that. I've been uploading their music for like 3 or 4 years, like Katori and all that. We've become very good friends, and they were the people that Galaxy used to upload. So apart from the stuff I used to listen to on Plug DJ before I started my channel, a lot of the stuff he uploaded, I was like, hey, this is really good. And then he would show me things, and then a lot of my taste would sort of fit what he was doing. So actually, it was working out for me, because even though I was a smaller channel, he was showing me all this good content that I could use to get my channel off the ground. So he actually gave me quite a big boost when it came to starting off, because everyone has to start somewhere. And the fact that I think he had maybe like 100K at this point, and he was actually nice enough to just like keep in touch and keep helping me, even though I was at like 500, I suppose, like maybe like 500 subscribers literally. But I think it worked out really well, because like now he doesn't upload that stuff anymore. People like Rob Gasser and Cynthian, because I became friends with them from supporting their music for so long, they came back to me, and now they talk to me and they're like, hey, do you want to support my track? And I'm like, yeah, of course I do, because my interests never changed as a channel. And I suppose that's why even back in the day to now, all the artists that I've been supporting all this time and all the people who've been subscribed all this time, my channel uploads have always gone down quite well, because I try and keep it very consistent. So people who subscribed like 3 years ago and enjoyed it, most likely, if they were going to listen to the stuff I upload now, would also really enjoy it. So I guess like when it comes to how people found my channel in the beginning, I'm guessing it's pretty much no different from now, because I've always had quite a very consistent fan base, which I've been very proud to to support and like keep working with.
That really makes sense, man. And I wanted to touch on something real quick. You talked about how Galaxy was kind of like a mentor in some sense to you. It's so important, the community, to help each other out, in whatever way we can, which is something I've tried to do with the podcast in terms of like giving a spotlight to smaller artists or up and coming acts and such. Have you been able to help other channels or other musicians through what you do? Do you feel like you've been able to help them?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, see, because I've always had my channel's always been based on the music of smaller channels and artists. So whenever I was small, I knew that, like, when I was small, even when I had like 1,000 subscribers, I was always supporting people with less than 1,000 followers, people smaller than me, because I knew one day, like, because of the sheer quality of their music, these people like Syntheon, who's now at like 10K, who was at like literally like 50 followers when I first started like uploading his stuff, it's now come back really good for me, because all my old Syntheon uploads and all my new Syntheon uploads, people come to me directly for that content, because they're like, hey, this guy, has like probably the biggest, collection of his music that exists, like even stuff that doesn't exist on his SoundCloud anymore, which is really great for me. And I mean, when it comes to like YouTube channels, I've had a lot of smaller channels come to me and say like, hey, I really like what you do. Can you give me some pointers? And I've given pointers to people over email. I've given pointers over Discord and Facebook in my comment section. I'm always like really happy to help people smaller than me, whether it be like musicians where I can give feedback and like branding tips and things, or whether it be someone like a YouTuber who just like was inspired by me to make their own promotional channel. I feel like if I inspired them or they came to me for a certain reason, then that's like quite a good thing for me. And I'm like, this person could have gone to anyone and they chose me. So, or they chose me to be inspired by, which I actually, find really motivating. So I guess that them coming to me and me helping them actually helps me to motivate myself and continue my channel. So it's all like one big loop where it works out really nice for everyone involved, I think.
I definitely agree. And I just love like the way that the YouTube music community has grown and blossomed. Like, I don't know, 10 years ago, it wasn't as relevant as it is now, I feel like. And so I've seen it grow and explode in the way that it has. I'm really curious about what the artists think about the whole YouTube music community. I was curious if you've talked with like the artists before and heard their thoughts on this.
I feel like it varies depending on the artist. So there is a lot of artists where they are very supportive of me uploading their stuff, and I've become good friends with them over that. There's also artists in which they always make me ask for permission, even though like I know them or I've uploaded their stuff in the past. They're always like, hey, please make sure you contact me before like uploading any of my stuff, and I'm fine with that because I know who they are and I go through with it. Then there's also people who are just like, please don't upload my stuff to YouTube. Like, that's just my thing, because they want to maximize on their own platforms. They want to have everything on their own channel, on their own SoundCloud, getting the most views. And I think that's absolutely fine. Like, I don't mind. Like, I'll always still like repost and share their music on their own outlets, because for me, it's always been about the quality of the music, not just, hey, how many artists can I rip off and make so much money from these uploads or whatever. Which actually I think is fine. I mean, like, the reason I like promotion channels, and a lot of artists like promotion channels, is because it widens your audience. Because like, it's a sidetrack a little bit, because I also run the Exobolt label. Our latest album, the 005 album, has actually been the most successful, because as we've grown as a label, the amount of YouTube contacts we've been able to get and the amount of people I've managed to contact through email who didn't even know we existed, then spread us to their to their subscribers and their communities. And I feel like that works really well, because people who hadn't even heard of your track before or heard of you as an artist, and now like there's now 10-20,000 views on a video from an outlet that you hadn't got reached to in the past. So I feel like, as much as YouTube as a music platform can be good for artists to share their music to get it to new areas, I feel like there's also people who will purely do it for views. People will steal people's music for the views, and that's just always going to be something that's relevant. Like, whichever way you look at it, there's going to be the good and bad sides of the YouTube music scene. But I feel like sometimes the goods outweigh the bads. It just depends on what channel it is, because like there's channels that, you know, they get sent promo emails, they upload stuff early before release just because they want to get it out there because they're impatient, and it just depends who you mix with. I guess like those people will get singled out eventually, and then their channels will just like lose the support over time, I guess, when the stories pass. So I guess it's just kind of it's like a weird circle, really, but everyone involved usually benefits, like the artist at least.
I definitely agree, and I think the key thing is that in modern times, I feel like attention is a currency. I feel like attention is a currency, and that's what the YouTube music community kind of does, is they give attention to smaller artists, up-and-coming artists, all artists, essentially. And, you know, that's what they can offer as the attention currency, which actually translates into, like, money currency or fandom or whatever it may be. On a little bit of a business note, I'm curious because, like, right now, YouTube music is, I would say it's among the top 3 ways that people get music. Let's talk a little bit about this for a minute. How long do you think the YouTube music community is going to ride out for? And, like, how do you see, like, the music consumption game kind of changing? Just recently, Spotify announced that they were going to allow artists to upload their music directly to Spotify. So, like, what do you see as the future for music consumption?
I feel like to rule out SoundCloud, I feel like SoundCloud has been on the down for years. So SoundCloud was it's where I get all my music from, because unless I know the artist personally, which I've made these connections over the years, I still follow over 2,000 people on SoundCloud. I'm always checking my feed, you know, what's new, what's fresh. And that's all well and good until SoundCloud introduced SoundCloud Pro, so you can't even listen to like half the stuff on there. They introduced the 64 kilobit streaming instead of 128, so it's like all the people who want higher quality streaming are just going to go to Spotify, and then all the people who see that YouTube and Spotify pay more per stream than SoundCloud, like SoundCloud's got everything stacked against them at this point. Like, no one's happy with it, but people continue with it because, you know, it's all they know. I feel like people are slowly making the transition to Spotify. I feel like there's a lot of ways that a promo channel such as mine can also capitalize on Spotify with playlists, and like customizing playlists for different genres and stuff can still get you brand recognition. Like, I made my Future Bass Volume 2 playlist, and that actually got, you know, a decent amount of support on Spotify, and got a lot of plays for the people involved in that playlist. And then I also have the Spotify playlist for my channel as to make HyperBolt a brand and not just a YouTube channel. So it was actually quite recently when I started spreading out to Instagram and Spotify and, you know, all these other different like media outlets. That's when I was like, if I make myself a brand, then it won't matter if YouTube doesn't become the main streaming place, because I'll always be able to have a following making either Spotify playlists, or if a new, you know, competitor to SoundCloud comes up, I can always just move there and look for content and stuff like that. I feel like YouTube is always going to be very relevant when it comes to music, only because of, I guess, the visual aspect. So one of the things that I do like about YouTube and YouTube musicians is, you know, you get like music videos for one, or you even just get like simple artwork videos like mine. Like, I know people who come to my videos just for the artwork. Like, I have people who don't even like electronic music, but they love the art that I use, and they always check it out. And it's one of those things. I feel like being a Google product, YouTube and YouTube Music will never die, because they'll always pump the money into it. But I feel like Spotify is by far probably the best place to stream music, not only because it uses less data, and it's actually, I think, either higher quality or as high quality as YouTube. And when they introduced that anyone can upload their music there and you don't have to go through a distributor, it's like, you know, what's the point of having YouTube streams? But I guess if YouTube would just allow everyone to for free play music and close the app instead of having to pay for YouTube Premium, then maybe they'd have more of a, more people doing it. But I don't know. I guess the reason people like YouTube and YouTube Music and music channels is because they manage to find new music that they wouldn't have found just from browsing Spotify, just from browsing SoundCloud or Facebook. It's very much desired tastes, I think. So like you go to my channel for like a certain sound or a certain taste, and then you go to someone else's channel for a certain sound. Like, someone who uploads in mainly hip hop and lo-fi stuff. It's people like that because they can just go there and they're like, yo, I know I'm gonna like every single song this guy posts because that's what I like. Whereas you can go to like Spotify or SoundCloud and then be stuck. Like, you can't just search lo-fi in the search box and then hope to find everything that you're looking for or things tailored to your tastes. So I think it's always going to exist, but I feel like Spotify is definitely going to become a good rival, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, some really great thoughts there, man. Honestly, I think some of the benefits that YouTube has over Spotify right now is the visual aspect, the fact that the better visuals are available there, that can really capture attention just so easily, as compared to Spotify, where it's just an album cover. Other thing, like you mentioned, like the fact that channels that do mixes, that's really easy to just turn on and listen to in the background. We might see Spotify playlists become more relevant as that progresses. But yeah, and also the fact that SoundCloud, I agree, it's definitely on a downward spiral. I feel like the only thing they have going for them right now is the fact that there's still a lot of creativity there. Since it's free, it's still like the only free option the primary free option. So they have that over Spotify for now. We'll see how that changes. Also, I want to talk a little bit, jump back to your channel, and I think another big thing about YouTube is the fact that the community there is so important. Right now, since Spotify doesn't have stuff like comments or that kind of thing, like the YouTube community is a pretty cool place to be as well. Talking with people about music or sharing music, etc. Let's talk a little bit about your community and the way that it's grown.
Yeah, so I've always been really happy with the way that my community grows, because it's one of those ones where it's so small, but it's so strong. It's one of those things. So even though I only have 40,000 subscribers, like, I managed to fill my Discord with, I'm actually not sure how many, but I can probably check right now. There's, what is that? Like, at least 300 people have managed to join, and I get at least 20, 30 active people that I see all the time just having a talk, talking to me, waiting for my new video uploads and all that stuff. So I guess it kind of, like, once you build the community on YouTube, it can build outside of YouTube. To things like Discord, Facebook groups, Facebook page, whatever. But it's still great getting those comments from the same people. Like, I see comments every single day from the exact same people, and I've seen them for years, and I can go through old uploads and see the same comments, and that support from those people makes it so much nicer, I guess, than doing it for Spotify. Like, if I just made playlists and I see a number and it's like, hey, 6,000 followers on this playlist, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like, 6,000 people are listening to it, but that doesn't mean anything. 6,000 people could be hating it, for all I know. But the good thing about getting a YouTube comment that isn't first is saying, like, thanks for the music, or you helped me, or you made my day better, and all that stuff. And that's not only motivating to me, but I feel like other people come to the channel and read the comments, and then they're like, oh, I want to be part of this community. This is a nice, rounded community. Like, and I feel like it's very inviting in that sense, which I guess is one of the benefits of YouTube. You're able to sort of home in on a crowd of people who like the same stuff because they're all coming to your channel. And I guess that's why when it passes over to like Discord, everyone involved in my channel is obviously a fan of my channel and what I do with it, so they'll meet other people with similar interests. So I feel like it's a great way to build a circle of, I guess you can call them fans, but really it's just people with similar interests. And YouTube is a very good tool for that, especially with the comment section and the community section, because it's nice. I like the way that it works compared to not having comments at all on something like Spotify, at least.
Definitely. And I think that it's really cool because with the rise of like the YouTube music channel, I think we kind of have like I don't know that it's a new position, but the way that people look up to these channels and the people who curate them as like they trust their taste and they trust them to deliver quality. So in a sense, you're a little bit like a radio DJ, but kind of like made to the modern age, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And you talked a lot about how you have so much support on the channel, which is really fantastic. I want to touch on real quick. Do you ever receive hate for like the content that you share or the stuff that you do?
I feel like there's always going to be hate. Like, I've been very lucky that it's when I say I get hate comments, it's like 1 in 1,000, and those people are usually uninformed. So like, whenever I get hate, I'll get like one person like, hey, you didn't make this, and then I'll get the actual artist to respond to them, and they'll be like, hey, it's fine, don't worry. Because like, I have that kind of connection with the people I upload that it's like, you know, I don't have to worry about people saying, hey, you're just stealing content, because I know that I could just message the artist and be like, hey, can you respond to this guy and let him know everything's fine? Because, you know, I don't need to make arguments in my comment section. People just need to be better informed, kind of thing. That's like the extent of the hate that I feel like I get. Like, and not a lot of people hate music channels because it's not like we do anything controversial. It's not like we do anything that, you know, offends people. It's like, if you don't like a song, I don't care if you press the dislike button. That's fine. But you don't need to go all up in the comments and then just be like, hey, this was really shit. Like, I've had people say, hey, this isn't to my tastes. And I'm like, that's fine, because that's not very often. And when it does happen, they're not, you know, they're not just being an asshole about it. They're not being like, hey, this sucks, I'm unsubscribing. They're like, hey, I don't really like this that much, but that's fine, because I'll probably like tomorrow's upload. You know what I mean? Like, I don't aim to please everyone with my channel. I aim to please the majority. So it's like, I don't mind one person disliking it as long as 99% like it. And then the next day, I don't mind if a different 1% dislike it, because as long as like someone likes 3 or 4 of the 5 uploads a week, then I think that's a victory. So honestly, hate-wise, I just don't see that much of it.
I love that, man. Yeah, definitely. You know, focus on the positivity and kind of build from there. And it's really cool that you've made such a strong community that like the hate level is extremely low. I think that's fantastic. What is some advice you would give to other people who are starting YouTube channels on how to build that kind of strong community?
I feel like it's quite difficult to do. I feel like the only reason why I've managed to make such a strong community is because I have quite a niche market with what I upload. So I upload a very specific style of music, kind of like it's very much to my own tastes, and I always deny it if I don't like it personally. Like, I've never had like a submission from like a big artist or whatever that I've just uploaded because I'm like, oh, that's really good for exposure. Like, I've said to, you know, people a lot bigger than me, like, yeah, I just don't really like this track, or it doesn't fit my channel or anything like that. So I guess one of the ways to keep a good community is to be consistent, because if you have consistency, then the nice people who like all your stuff are just going to keep coming back. And I also feel like a very important part of building a community is responding. Like, if people start commenting and disliking your video, you know, find out why. Like, respond to them in the comments and be like, hey, what didn't you like about it? What can I change? Or if someone says, hey, this made my day, respond to it and be like, hey, thanks, I'm really glad you like it. Because making that connection with the people means they're probably going to come back more often, because they're like, hey, this guy responds to me, he hearts my comments, he likes, you know, me being here, so I'm gonna, you know, put that effort in to speak to him back, to like his videos, to share them. So I feel like very much interacting with your audience is a very crucial part of starting a YouTube community. And of course, finding people with similar interests. You can easily advertise, like people say to not spam advertise, and I completely agree. But if you like, say if you upload a song and you just want to grow your audience, go to like different Reddits or like Facebook groups and just be like, hey, check out this. If you've got time, what do you think about it? And then you're not just like posting a link and then, you know, breaking all the rules and saying like, hey, check out my video. Like, fuck you. It's more like, if you like melodic dubstep, go to a melodic dubstep Reddit, post it, and be like, what do you guys think of this? It's not like, hey, check this out. So it's more about the way you deliver your the way you deliver your communication with people, I think, more than like how much you spread yourself to different outlets. I think homing the small but powerful community is always going to be better than just, hey, I'm going to upload this remix of an Ariana Grande song or a Marshmello track just because I know it's going to get a shitload of people commenting on it and saying, like, great track. Like, that's not a good community. That's just people who found a one-off video, and then, you know, they're not going to come back the next day because all they wanted from you was that one Marshmello remix. So I think consistency and communication is key to building a community.
Great answer, man. And definitely play the long term rather than the short term game, I guess.
Yeah.
As well. And in that same vein, let's look at your channel. When do you feel like your channel really started to blow up and kind of take off?
So I feel like what happened was my channel kind of took off was when I went from 1K to 10K in about 2 or 3 months. And that only really started because I was getting sub boxes from these bigger channels. So I was in the Galaxy Music sub box, Pixel Network, and Cerebral Vibes, and some of these other ones were both like putting me in the box. I was actually in the proximity box for like a week just because I told him to as a joke, but he actually did it. So it helped me out.
That's dope. Yeah.
It's really cool. It's actually really great having that kind of support. And then, obviously, at that same time, EDM District was sort of like the hip-hopping thing. And because Monster Cat had that brand recognition, all I had to do was comment on their videos, comment on other people who were in EDM District's videos, and then people would see my channel and be like, hey, this guy's related, this guy has the recognition. They check me out, and then they'd like my content, and then they'd subscribe. So that was probably my first big boost. And then ever since then, it was smooth sailing up until about 30K. When I hit 30K, I dropped my Future Bass Mix Volume 1, which got way bigger than I expected it to. It got like 600K views. Ninja started playing it on his Twitch streams. And I was like, wow, okay, this is mad. And that's when I gained about 2,000 subs a month for like 3 months straight. Like, it's calmed down a little bit now, but I did also make 2 more Future Bass mixes since then, because I remember like every time in the past I'd make like one thing that'd be a hit and then I'd never follow up on it, but this time I was like, okay, Future Bass Volume 1's doing really well, I'm gonna make 2, I'm gonna make 3, and keep that train rolling and try and get more people to subscribe. And that's what got me from 30K to 40K so quickly, was that, you know, people, even if people were subscribing for my everyday content or they were subscribing for the mixes, I was appealing to both audiences. And then a lot of the people who were like, hey, I like this guy's mixes, were then checking out my regular uploads. So it kind of was one big spiral that like gave me a good push. So I guess, you know, the next time that, because I'm not planning to do a Future Bass Volume 4 because I feel like that's just milking it at that point. Like I want to keep the content on my channel, you know, to what I would want to upload. And I feel like I enjoyed making the first 3 and it works nice. Like 3 is a round nice number to leave it at. And then if I was to make 4, I feel like it's a bit cheap. Like there's no point. So I'm thinking, you know, what's my next move? What am I going to do now? And things like that. But I mean, you know, things always come out of the blue. Songs blow up for no reason. It just depends. Like all it takes is someone really big to use a song in a video to get like 10,000 views coming your way, just saying like, hey, I got sent by this guy. Like that's happened like a lot. Like old League of Legends streamers used to use songs that eventually ended up on my channel and stuff, and it would blow up, and then you get new people. So it's one big spiral. It's always changing, and YouTube's always evolving, like as a platform. Like the things that you would do maybe like a year or 2, 3 years ago are not the same that you would do now. So it's because it's always evolving so quickly, you have to kind of keep up with it if you want to maintain popularity. But that's also one of the reasons why you see some of these channels, like I guess a good example is Captain Sparkles. Like ever since he stopped making his Minecraft content, his channel kind of stagnated a bit. And now he's kind of gone back to it, and I feel like it's too late. Like he's doing that because he wants to rekindle the relationship with all those subs. But you know, all the people who subscribed to him like 5 years ago when he was making that content have all grown up and they don't want to watch his content anymore. So I guess the good thing about music channels and my channel is that people always have that nostalgic feeling with the types, with the genres, with the, you know, with the style, and then people still enjoy it. Like I feel like people's music tastes don't change as much as their like tasting games or clothes or whatever. I feel like I've had the same music taste since like 2012, and I've been very happy with it. And yeah, it's expanded, but I've never, strayed away from the core of what like I base my channel on. So I guess it's just one of those things. I don't know.
A lot of good insight there, man. I think you're really intelligent by paying attention to like what's woking and what's not woking, the way that you kind of played up to certain things that were woking. So congrats to you on that, those smart moves you were making. And I wanted to ask something real quick. I know that you do a lot of single uploads rather as compared to mixes. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah.
Do you think you'll get into doing mixes more so in the future?
So one of the issues I always faced with mixes was that I started a thing to do weekly mixes. I was like, all right, every Sunday I'll compile either a mix myself or a guest mix, and I did 3 guest mixes. One was from Katori, one was from Moonlight Rose, and one was from Syntheon. They went well to the standard that I would expect mixes to go to, because I think the issue I was having with the mixes was that people have time to listen to a 3-minute song or whatever, but they don't always have time to listen to an hour-long mix. And then like that would always mean that the engagement would be quite low on the mixes. Like people would listen to them and enjoy them, but say they would get like half the amount of attention as my other stuff. And the only time that really changed was when I made the Future Bass mix. And I think the reason for that was because calling it a Future Bass mix was a lot more generic than calling it a Syntheon guest mix. So people just searching Future Bass mix in YouTube would pick it up and look for it and check that out. So I'm guessing if I'm to start making mixes again, I'm either going to have to be smart with the way I title and SEO, my mix to the genre that's the main focus point of the guest mix, or I'm going to have to make mixes myself, but like specifically and name them for those different the different genres that are used, because that's kind of the issue. Like when you rely too much on calling something like Syntheon guest mix, that's like whatever proportion of your subscribers are Syntheon fans and Syntheon's own fans. Like that's not a big enough circle to really warrant a mix, I guess. So unless I ask them to do a specific type or something, I feel like the guest mixes just doesn't work for my channel as much as I'd like it to, because I actually do very much like doing guest mixes and having people on the channel who I've supported for a long time. I feel like it's a good way to get their new music. Like they often throw in like a bunch of IDs and stuff, and I enjoy hearing that. So I'd hope, because I enjoy it, everyone else would, but I guess it just doesn't work the same as the daily uploads.
It makes sense, man. And I hope that you can figure out a way to make it work, because I can see that I can hear that you're passionate about it, and it seems like maybe the implementations needs adjusted. And so that's kind of going into like issues with like YouTube, as far as like maybe their algorithm or something like that. What kind of issues have you faced with YouTube over the years?
I feel like YouTube's algorithm is always changing. So YouTube now is based so much and so heavily on watch time and recommended views. Like if you want to get discovered, and the reason why my Future Bass mix was so good is because it was in the right place at the right time. People were looking for Future Bass mixes, and it was an hour long, and people were listening to it. And because people were listening to it, YouTube's algorithm was like, yo, these people are listening to a full hour of this, so we're going to start recommending it. And then all the other big Future Bass mixes, next up would link mine. Anything Future Bass related, the next up video would be my mix, because it was like, hey, if like 100,000 people have now looked at this, and they're like, it was a very, very high watch percentage. It was at least 80% for a majority of the watches. So YouTube's like, hey, this is keeping people on the website for a long time. So for that reason, we're going to start recommending more people do it to keep them on the website. And it's YouTube's kind of scummy way of doing it. And it's also why it's harder to grow a YouTube channel based on 3-minute videos like songs, because YouTube doesn't want people to watch for 3 minutes. That's why people do the 10-minute rule. Like that became a thing where people would upload a 7-minute video with 3 minutes of black, just because if they could get people to watch 7 minutes of a 10-minute video, that's like a 70% watch rating. And then YouTube's algorithm would be like, hey, let's send this to everyone because, you know, people are watching a lot of this video. So I guess that's just how it's managed to change over the years. It didn't used to be that way, which is why a lot of channels grew quicker back in the day. Music channels was because it just was based on the amount of views you were getting and based on the amount of engagement. So if you were getting good comments, good likes, good views, then YouTube would send it everywhere. But now, because it's so heavily based on watch percentage, a lot of the YouTubers that I talk to, and I've been talking to some of the bigger YouTubers about this, and they're like, you know, because I'm so small, they say make more mixes and focus on mixes, because if one mix blows up, then that's very good watch percentage, and then your videos get recommended more. So I guess that's just, you know, a small insight into the way YouTube works and how people don't think about that impacting them specifically, but it is an issue for music channels. And I feel like for me, who like can't get mixes to work the way I want, and then also be uploading the 3-minute videos on a you know, somewhat daily basis, it kind of stacks everything against me when it comes to growing naturally, which is why I kind of rely heavily on being supported by the artists and people actually being interested in my content. That's why the strong community comes in so hard, because a lot of YouTube channels, especially music channels, fail because they don't build that community early on. They don't get that support, the continued support, and then, you know, once YouTube's algorithm hit, they just saw their views decline to nothing because, you know, they weren't being sent to the sub boxes, they weren't being recommended. And I guess that's why whenever these kind of things crop up, it's good to find out, you know, like, what is YouTube doing and how can I take benefit of it? Because that's why my Future Bass Mix actually did so well, was because, yeah, my other content, YouTube wasn't interested, but these hour-long mixes, YouTube was like, hey, people like this, we're going to recommend it. So that's why it worked so well. So I guess it's another way of riding trends in an algorithmic way, as opposed to, like, you know, uploading a popular artist. Like, you just have to keep on top of that, or else, you know, it can really, like, kick you in the ass a little bit.
Wow, man, that's quite insane. It's interesting to me because, like, it's really just, I feel like, business, like, invading the alt world even more so. I mean, it's clear in the business world that there's always been difficulties in growing stuff organically, just because it's just not looked upon well. And the same way, like with YouTube, how they're looking at, like, what's getting the most attention and what are people commenting on and what should we push, etc., etc. I wanted to touch on something else. I'm not sure if it's affected you or not, but just recently, a lot of YouTube music channels, not specifically in the EDM scene, but I think across the board, I saw many lo-fi channels complaining about it, such as the Bootleg Boy and Nintendo and Chill, etc., etc., talking about monetization issues. Has this affected you at all?
Yes. So to actually cop on that, my channel got demonetized last month fully, so I don't make money from my videos anymore. And the issue I had with it is that YouTube gave me no reason. The reason was for uploading other people's content without permission. They did not check. It was a bot. It was some stupid bot was like, hey, this guy's uploading songs, some of them are claimed, let's just demonetize him. I sent an email to my YouTube. It's like when you reach a certain threshold of YouTube subscribers, you get a direct contact to YouTube. So I had a guy, and I emailed him, and I was like, "Hey, what's going on? Like, why am I demonetized?" He's like, "I can't tell you that much. However, it's because you upload other people's content." And I was like, "Yeah, but that's not what I do. I promote content, and I get permission." And he's like, "There's nothing I can do. Reapply in a month." So I replied back with 3 or 4 screenshots. I had screenshots of me asking permission from the artist I upload. I was like, I have Subsound, Nanobi, and Sekai, and it shows, you know, the agreements we had. And I was like, hey, can I upload your track? Can I upload your track? Can I upload your track? And I sent them to him as evidence. And he was like, you know, this looks good, makes sense to me, but try reapplying in a month. So I'm left in the dark, like, hey, you know, there goes all the money that I was making. Like, not that it's important that I was making money, because if it was, I would have stopped making videos a month ago. But the issue is that it affects much bigger channels, the ones that actually live off YouTube. Like, I don't live off YouTube, but the people who do get demonetized, and I guess that's what the big deal with the adpocalypse was, where it's like, hey, if you even swear in your YouTube video, they'll demonetize it. Doesn't matter what happens. It's always YouTube, and YouTube controls that. So I guess something to learn from it is, like, YouTube's always going to be on the side against you. You just have to kind of work with them and do what you can to keep your channel afloat. And if you want to keep it monetized, just do everything in your power to make sure you're getting proof of permission, not using like copyrighted images. And if you are using music, try and minimize the amount of claims you get so you don't flag up to the YouTube bots.
Wow, dude. Yeah, it's really unfair, and I think it's such a major hit for everybody, not just the channels. I mean, that's a huge issue for people, like you said, who are living off of the income from the channels and supporting themselves that way. It's also, I think, detrimental to the artists, detrimental to the community, and detrimental to YouTube as a platform as well, I feel, because it really just kind of demotivates people to consume music from there. So, have you reapplied for monetization yet, or what's your plan going forward?
So I have reapplied because, in my opinion, and when I went through everything, I didn't see any reason why I was demonetized. Like, my issue was that, and I'm basing it off the amount of claims I get, but I agree these claims with the artists. Sometimes the artists are like, hey, the label has claim over it on YouTube. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, I don't mind not making money from your track. I just do it because I like the content. I like your music. So, fair enough. But I think YouTube's algorithm or bot adds these up, and then once it gets to a certain point, it's like, hey, this guy's got 100 unlicensed music claims on his channel. Let's flag him down to someone at YouTube to look at it, and then they'll look at it and say, so he does, and then they'll just demonetize you like that. Like, they don't have good enough support and good enough reactions for when it comes to that kind of thing. And that's one of the biggest issues I feel with YouTube right now, is that it's all bot ridden. Like, the algorithms that they think are perfect are just so broken that it affects the masses when it comes to this kind of thing. Like, I've seen other music channels quit. Like, they've been fully demonetized, had their AdSense account closed down, and they had like over 100K, and they were like, well, I was living off this, and I can't, I don't have the motivation to upload videos anymore because they've cut off my income source. And that's a big issue when in reality they probably weren't even doing anything wrong. So
Right, exactly, man. And what I'm curious about is like how it's going to affect the community for those people who cannot get the monetization turned back on. Like, what path should they take? Do you think it would be smarter to go to a different platform, or do you think it's smarter to maybe launch as like a record label where you're putting out music that you sign, basically?
Well, that's one of the reasons why me and my friend Jonathan started our label Exobolt, because but not only did I have access to all these great artists in the first place, where I was like, hey, I can just contact like anyone I want, pretty much. Anyone I've uploaded over the last 5 years, and they'll probably be really down to release with us. But it's like, if my YouTube channel ever does fail, then I could start building Exobolt from the ground up, and then, make that a full-time thing. But it wouldn't be where it is without his input. He's had a huge input on everything from the creative side to the management side. And honestly, he's done a great job with that, because obviously I have to focus on my channel as well. When I got fully demonetized last month, I actually went through a small period where I was like, hey, should I even should I continue with my channel? Because I know that if I reapply and then they say no, they're just going to shut my AdSense down. And then that's like another huge demotivator. And I feel like I'm not going to stop my channel, but obviously it's demotivating when you know that there's nothing you can do. Like, that's just all your hard work over the last 5 years, and then YouTube just takes a big shit on it. So it's like, it's kind of hard. And I also don't want to be one of those people who has like a 20-second fucking Crunchyroll ad at the end of the video, because like that's what it's come to. You see that so much more often. You never used to see that. Hey, check out Tunnel Bear, check out Crunchyroll, check out Amazon Books. That wasn't a thing until people start getting demonetized, and people say like, hey, this video can only happen because I'm getting sponsorship money. Like, these channels shouldn't have to be sponsored just to make content. They should be able to monetize their hard work. Like, and as much as it is like, YouTube's playground, and that's why they can just do what they want, I feel like they should be more fair to creators and not just, you know, the channels who make very original content. Like if you make a vlog, that's so much your content that they have no choice but to let you monetize it. But it's like, just because you used someone else's music, even if you have that license for it or whatever, they can still just say, well, we don't know if you have that license, and then just strike you down on it. So it's just a flaw in YouTube, I think. But I don't think it's a flaw that's going to get fixed anytime soon.
Right, and granted that it might not get fixed anytime soon, I guess that's why so many channels have to be thinking, of plan Bs and plan Cs, what to do next. Have you considered going the sponsor route?
I don't know. I don't know what I would be able to do to maintain sponsorship from one of these channels or outlets, because I've always thought, hey, I don't mind, just doing sponsorship. Like if all I have to do is put at the end of my video, I don't have to interrupt the music. I have to, make it very intrusive and just like say, hey, check this out. If I don't have to do that and ruin the song for everyone, then I wouldn't mind putting like a 20-second like ad technically for Crunchyroll. Like, hey, use this code in the description. I don't care about that. Like, as long as it's not interrupting anyone's listening and they don't hear me saying like, yo, this video was made possible by Crunchyroll, check them out, then I don't feel like anyone would care or mind, because I would just make the argument, well, listen, this is the only way that my channel is profitable. So, like, it's either that or nothing in a way. So I feel like people wouldn't have an issue. I feel like the issue would come if I should purely turn my channel into, just for the money, and I didn't care, and I just uploaded like promos for all these different products. That would be like the instant downfall. But I'm trying as hard as I can to not get it to that. That's why I'm hoping my reapply to the partner network is going to go quite smoothly when they see, there's nothing wrong. But obviously you have to have a plan B, and whether it be working more on my label than on my channel, or whether it be, trying to find a non-intrusive way to get sponsored, it's probably going to have to happen, looking at the state of YouTube.
All the best, man, because I honestly, your channel is pretty important to the community, and you've put so much time and effort into it. I think you deserve to see it, continue on for longer. That being said, and it might be difficult to see from this perspective right now, what is your your vision for the long term of the channel?
Honestly, ever since starting my channel, I know how slow my channel grows, and the issue it grows is because it's not at the point where people miss. Well, it's getting there, but it's almost at the point where people miss that old type of music that I cater to. And when I go to other channels, I go to these bigger channels and I see them comments saying, hey, I miss, when you used to upload, like electro house stuff, glitch hop, all that nice stuff that people miss because no one makes it anymore. And it takes a lot of time to find because the bigger channels don't take it. So people get demotivated and say, I'll just make generic stuff. And then I don't want to reply to those comments and say, hey, check my channel out, because like I'm not that kind of a person, even though realistically I so want to just say, hey, just come to my channel. If you have an issue with the content they're uploading, you'd probably be a lot happier if you just checked out my videos. But I'm not going to go to their channel just to advertise. So I feel like people will eventually get to the point where word of mouth will spread, and then maybe I'll grow a bit more at one point. But it's all just a good journey. Like, I'm having a good time. I like the music I upload. I've never had a day where I'm not motivated when every time I get a comment saying, thanks for this, you made my day. That's just, that's all I need to know that tomorrow someone's going to enjoy a video from me. So it's like, it's great. Like, I think my main goal was to just make it to 100K and just get the plaque, like the little button or whatever. Like, I honestly feel like I put in enough work to be at 100K by now, but my issue is that YouTube has just stacked everything against me, and it's been hard. But I feel like even to be at 40K, I've had a really good time, and I've met a lot of great people, met a lot of great music. It's just hard. Like, YouTube's not easy, and I don't mind where it goes, because I'm never gonna stop doing it unless I'm physically unable. So until the day YouTube shuts my channel down for whatever reason, I'm very happy to just keep continuing.
Dude, that's fabulous. I really love that energy and that positive motivation there. Yeah, and I mean, what's a journey without a little bit of a struggle, right? I mean, that's what makes it interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like it's great to have, because even though I know it's good to be aware of it. So it's like, yeah, my channel's not growing great because of YouTube's algorithm, but I know why. And it's not that my content sucks. It's not that people are uninterested. It's just that I have to push harder to get my stuff out there. And honestly, that's even more motivating, because it's like, look at my potential audience out there. You know, let's do it. Let's get it. And that, I don't care how much time it takes. I know eventually it will happen, because I have enough confidence in my channel and my community that other people will be interested. And I guess that's just one of the good things. I mean, I feel like it's not something you see often in music channels, to be so passionate, but I've always been very passionate about what I do. So I feel like it's a nice touch when it comes to actually running my channel, that I enjoy it so much, and I'm not even just doing it for the people anymore. I'm also doing it because I love it. So even if everyone stops enjoying my content, it doesn't mean I'm going to stop making it.
That's how it is, man. That's how it is. Once it's an inside game, right? And like once you have that motivation, like it kind of draws people to you. I feel like I think that's really cool. And stick with it, man. Like don't give it up, because I think that what you're doing right now and have done for the past 5 years is the dream of so many kids right now. The way that you were able to get in and do what you love, and then it was able to become prosperous and beneficial for the community and for yourself. Like, no matter what, you've already made an impact, and if you stick with it longer, you can make even more of an impact, I feel like. Jumping over, looking at Exobolt now, what is your vision for the Exobolt project?
So Exobolt always started off as it was just a collaboration. So the reason why it's called Exobolt is because his channel was called Exodus Music, my channel was called, HyperBolt, and we just put it together and we're like, hey, let's release an album. So we did, Exobolt 001. We just got 10 songs from our friends and we put it out there, and then people enjoyed it. People were like, hey, this is great. We really, and when I was like, at the time, I was like, I don't really want to make a label. I don't want to go down that route. Like, I'm enjoying my channel. It takes up a lot of time. And then my friend was like, I have so much vision for this label right now. Like, we could turn that one album into a brand, into a label. And as time has gone on, I've just been more and more invested into it as a thing. And honestly, I love all the music that gets released. I love all the albums, and all the album artwork looks great. And I'd love for it to grow into a big brand. I know it's never going to hit the point of like Monster Cat or even like Disciple. I'm not expecting it to get that. It's never been a professional label. It's just a passion project in which we help smaller artists and help anyone who wants to release with us. If we like the track, we'll go for it. And it's one of those things where the label is run very much in the same mindset as my channel, like to benefit smaller artists and like all the people interested, instead of just, hey, we'll sign this track because it'll make us really big. Like the fact we got to 6,000, we've been doing Exobolt for almost 2 years. And the fact that we've even got 6,000 subscribers is kind of crazy, because I was not expecting us to even get to this point so soon. And even just starting now with the 005 release, we've actually been working a lot more towards making it into a fully fledged brand. And I guess we've been doing that with our the merch that we've been releasing and the CDs. And the quality of our music has done nothing but improve over the years. And I guess that's one of the reasons why we are growing at the pace that we are. So when it comes to like what I want from Exobolt and what I want from the label, I just want it to be a valid option. Like I don't want people to just think, oh, well, we have to strive for these huge labels. I want people to feel at home there, and I want people to think, hey, I've got a great track. I'm going to release it on Exobolt, not because it's going to get me a billion stats, but because it's going to be a great place for it to be. And I feel like a lot of the songs on there, people make them and they feel, this would be right at home on your label. And I'm like, I totally agree. And it's great to share that mindset with people. And I feel like that's why the label's been so semi-successful so far.
That's fantastic, man, and I'm so much in support of like your Exobolt label and all the other indie labels out there as well, because from the way I see it, with the rise of the internet, previously we all like worshipped, quote unquote, like major labels such as Def Jam
Yeah,
or whatever,
absolutely.
you know. But now that we've been able to have the internet, we have people like who we know, such as yourself, and you know, people who run other channels, and we trust them with like the music they're putting out because we know that they're doing it for the music, they're doing it for the love. And so it just makes sense to me that music channels would progress into record labels, because like it just makes sense. Like, we trusted their music before, and now they have a record label. Of course we're going to trust them even more with the music that they're signing and the music they're releasing. And so so much support for that project, man. And I think something else that is interesting is how much you do. You are active on YouTube, you're active with Exobolt, you do merch, you do social media. How do you keep up with it all?
It's always been difficult to balance everything. I guess one of the issues is that when you put so much time into passion projects, because like obviously I work like a full-time job as well. I'm actually a web developer full-time, but then I come home and then I work on my passion projects. But I don't mind it, because like one of the good things that I like about working on the label and my channel is the payoff. Like it never takes that much time. Like I wouldn't be able to do Exobolt without Jono helping. If he wasn't there, like taking half the load off that, then there's no way it would be at the point it is now. Because the amount of time that I dedicate into my channel every night kind of adds up. It's at least like 1 or 2 hours every night, like sorting a video, rendering it, being happy with it, uploading it. And obviously getting home at 5, that takes me till like 7 o'clock, and then I'll go to bed at like 11, 12 for work the next day. So it's like, yeah, I limit myself, and whenever I have Exobolt, that time is even smaller, but like the payoff I feel is so great, and I enjoy it, and it makes me happy. So I guess for some people it would be even harder to balance, but I think I've done it for so long that I'm now quite efficient at what I do, and with my YouTube channel and things like that, I feel like no matter what you do, the more you do it, the more efficient you get at it. The more you know what sources to go for images, where to find tracks. How long your render is going to take, like before you even put it in. So you're like, hey, I can dedicate this time to finding another song for tomorrow, because I know it's going to take 15 minutes for this to render, and then it'll take 10 minutes to upload. So it's like such a weird mindset to have, but like, when I think back about it now, it's like it's so down to a T in how like efficiently I try to manage the time for it, that I feel like it works really well, and it doesn't like completely drain me. So it's always a bonus, to be honest.
That's really cool, man. That's really cool. I think because you have the right motivation, like you're able to keep up with it. And I've noticed that so much amongst creators, because a lot of times creators have to do like you're doing, full-time job, go home, make music, promote music. But because they love the music, because it's their passion project, they're able to keep up with it. I had another question. I was curious. It's kind of a two-sided question. Firstly, would you ever want like the HyperBolt project or the Exobolt project, the music thing that you do, would you ever want that to be like a full-time job for you or your main source of income? And do you think it could become that?
I 100% would love to do HyperBolt as a job, as an income source, because I know whenever I get time, like actual time, like I come home from work and I know I don't have time to do anything more than my standard video layout. Whenever I'm off, like sometimes I just get like a bank holiday Monday off or whatever, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna make a lyric video, I'm gonna make a 2-layer background, I'm gonna change my layout a little bit, I'm gonna make something more interesting. And that's where a lot in the past, when I've had absolutely nothing on, or I've been really excited about a track, I've been like, hey, I'm gonna make a lyric video for this, I'm gonna make a mix today, I'm gonna mess around with that. And I feel like if I was in a position to not have to do my full-time job, I would just spend all day video editing, learning new stuff, and actually improving the quality of content on my channel. So a lot of the time that I wouldn't have, I would actually have to be able to dedicate into those assets. So I would love to do it and have that be a thing, but I also know, because it's been 5 years, I'm pretty sure it's never gonna happen. The only reason I know it's never gonna happen is because it's never gonna happen through YouTube. I don't know if Exobolt really takes off. If Exobolt like blows up, we start making loads of money from releases, and then like we become like not even just an independent label anymore. We become, a big name in the EDM scene, which would be great. If that ever happens, yeah, sure, I'd go full time on it, because like, what is there to lose when you're so passionate about something that you know that you can't let it fail, kind of thing. And at the same time, as much as I love my channel, I feel like it's, no matter what I've tried to do with it, it's never grown to the point, and I don't feel like it will grow to the point in which I can live off it. But I don't mind that, because it also means that I have other options. It's like, if I was, working so hard on my channel and then it wasn't making me enough money to live, I feel like that would be more devastating than being in a position now where I can be self-sufficient, and if my channel fails, it sucks, but it's not my main source of income. It's not my job, and I feel like there's a lot of dependency on these bigger channels who actually have like a couple 100K, a mil. They know that they can't lose their audience. They can't let their channels fail, because if they do, then they're out of a job and they're going to slowly run out of money, and then they're going to have to get they're going to have to do something else. So I feel like there's a lot more stress for those channels than I have, which I guess is why I feel more motivated to work on it, because it's a passion project, and I know I can quit at any point, and I know that I don't have to do it to the point in which I start hating it. And I guess that's one of the main reasons why I wouldn't want to do my channel as a job.
Mm-hmm. I understand.
It's not a dependency, and that's why I enjoy doing it so much.
To be perfectly frank, I believe 100% that you could run it as a job from right now. Obviously, it's a major setback with the YouTube situation, but I feel like you still have potential for ways that you could monetize the thing. I mean, just looking at your numbers, 40K subs on YouTube, 700 plus on Twitter, 1,300 on SoundCloud, 2K on Instagram. The list goes on. I feel like it's just a matter of how you're doing it. For example, like you could launch Patreon. That would be one option. Maybe do stuff on Twitch as well. Max out on your merchandise that you're selling. And obviously, stuff with the record label as well, physical CDs, maybe performances, or whatever that may be. And so I personally believe that you could do it if you ever wanted to. But I hope you get the chance to someday. Yeah.
I would love to. If it ever came down to it, where I knew that I was in a position where I wouldn't fail and I wouldn't have to work again, because I could put so much time into videos and making everything the way I wanted to, and everyone still enjoy the content, I would be so happy to do it. Like, if for whatever reason I gained 500,000 subs overnight, then I would absolutely go for it.
I think that's the deal, though, man, is that you don't know until you do it.
I know, it's true. I mean, I love what I do, and honestly, if I can live from it one day, that would be great. And if I can't live from it, it's what it is. And I am always going to put like 110% effort into it. I'm always going to put a load of effort into the label and everything that's done, because I feel like, yeah, you're probably right. One day, if I start taking off a lot, then I could absolutely live from it. And I would love to be in a position where that was the case.
Respect, bro, respect. All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap it up a little bit. Guys, this was an incredible conversation. HyperBoltEDM, dude is incredible. The way he has grown his channel, the projects he's working on now, and his bright future. HyperBolt, is there any last things you want to say to the audiences that you want them to know or to think about?
Honestly, I feel like I've said quite a lot. Like, I feel like if anyone out there is very much willing to start their own channel, or feels motivated from what they've heard me say or whatever, just hit me up on Discord. Like, if you want to learn about YouTube, just talk to me about it. I'll be happy to give insight and pointers and things, because I know how hard it is to start from the bottom, because I did it myself. And getting mentoring from the bigger channels is 100% the reason why I'm able to get to the point where I am today. So it doesn't matter how great you think you are or how much you think you know. There's always people who've been doing it longer who know more than you. So like, don't be afraid to just ask for help and find out from people who are more experienced, pretty much.
All right, fabulous, man. Thank you so much for coming in today, for having the conversation. We hit on a lot of great things, and I think the audience is really going to take things from this they can apply to their own lives. Guys, HyperBoltEDM, look him up, check him out. I'll give you guys links to everything that he does. And until next week, thank you for listening, and goodbye.